Hi, I'm Andy Hall. I'm the General Manager of Hall Fire and Safety Consultants out of the UK. And today we're going to be talking about fluorine-free foams. And I'm joined by John Ottesen, Managing Director, founder of DAFO FOMTEC, Swedish manufacturer of firefighting foams, 21 years now, supplying to over 65 countries a range of high-quality, high-performance firefighting foams. So our presentation today is really going to cover, industrial, oil, gas, petrochemical, and how we can transition away from PFAS foams into this sector. So, John, I suppose as an opening comment here, is this a big sector?
Oh, certainly. There's a huge number of different systems out there in the industry. Talking about the different applications, you have chemical storage, you have paint manufacturing, you have pharmaceutical plants, you have semiconductor manufacturing, and not to forget the petrochemical oil storage.
Okay, many of these facilities will have their own fire and rescue services, or whether through a mutual aid or through an agreement with the local municipality, they'll have their own emergency response capabilities. But is that really their primary protection?
No, I think it's fair to say that there's a lot of fixed systems out there, either deluge systems, sprinkler systems, foam pourers, foam makers, and other type of application methods through a fixed system. The emergency response capability is certainly a very important one, and it's there as a supplement or an add-on. But I think we need to cover that in a future discussion, Andy, because it's gonna be a long one.
Okay, so we're going to look at fixed foam systems, fixed systems. Sometimes people say fixed head systems, and as we said, it covers a variety of discharge devices. But again, one of the things I've heard you talking about before, John, is what components make up a foam system. So can we go back to Foam 101 and talk about what is a foam system?
Well, absolutely. I mean, any system requires a water source. There will be a foam storage of some sort, a concentrate, a proportioning system, and then obviously the most important part, the discharge device. This is the holistic, complete system.
So, and that's not going to change, is it? When we go from PFAS-based foams or fluorinated foams to fluorine-free?
No, it's always going to be the same. You need the same components in the synthetic fluorine-free foam system for sure.
Right. So, so again, it's about the system and not the foam concentrate.
Absolutely. We like to say, it's not about the concentrate, and it never was. We believe that whenever you design a system, either it's a transition system going over to SFFF, or if you go from scratch, you always need to take a holistic approach. You need to look at your fuel, look at your requirements, and then you'll need to design the system A to Z. As said, it's not the concentrate that puts the fire out, it is the foam coming out of all of these components working in harmony that puts the fires out.
So again, that really doesn't change whether we were talking about fluorinated foams or our new SFFFs.
No, it's always been the same, and we really embrace this holistic approach.
Do you think it's become more important with SFFFs?
Well, taking a holistic approach means that you need to look at how the foam performs in the discharge device. We know that the foam coming out of the discharge device is what puts the fire out. And, now with the SFFFs, we know through all our 1,500 fire tests during the Enviro program so far that the synthetic fluorine-free foams are really depending upon being applied at correct expansion and drainage time. It's much more sensitive to that than the old fluorinated foam. So it is critical with an holistic approach for sure.
So this testing and the approvals process is very much part of your Enviro program.
Oh, absolutely. It's critical. I mean, we do all of this testing to gather data and be able to give the customers the right engineering advice. Testing is critical for our products, and we have done so many tests now, and we will carry on doing testing to prove what the performance will be with different devices, proportioning devices, and discharge devices to ensure correct engineering.
We talked about the importance of fire testing for specific applications and over 1,500 fire tests. Do we have some video we could perhaps look at?
Oh, definitely, Andy. We record almost every fire we do, or I think we record every single fire we do. So let's have a look at a fire test. And what we're going to show you here is a fire test with sprinklers, obviously, and here we test on acetone with, I think it's a K8 sprinkler, and the height of the system is 45 feet. So we have ignition, as you can see, and then there's a 15 seconds pre-burn time. We start foam application. I'm just going to scroll forwards. We don't want to watch the whole video. And as you can see, the sprinklers are really high up in this particular case. And eventually, the foam will gain control of the fire. As you can see here, the fire is suppressed, and we will get extinguishment at one point, like here. So the next portion of the testing is then you carry on doing foam application for a full 5 minutes. And as you can see, our foam is then filling the pan. And after 5 minutes of foam application, the foam discharge is being stopped. Then you have a waiting period, and in that waiting period, you do 2 torch tests to see whether or not there is vapors coming through the blanket.
Right. So this is we're checking reflash here.
Yes, exactly. You want to see if the foam really is capable of withstanding the vapors from the flammable liquid underneath the foam blanket. So that happens twice, and you have to move the torch all across the foam blanket during those foam tests. Then at the end, there will be a burn back test. You insert what we call the chimney, and you scoop out all the foam from the chimney. And then you eventually will ignite the open surface of fuel, which is exposed, and you let that pre-burn for 1 minute before you lift the chimney out of the foam blanket. And the point here is that you're not allowed to have fire that grows to more than 20% of the surface area of the fire to pass. And in a lot of tests, you see this happen with our product.
We've got a self-extinguishment there.
Yeah,
it's just sealed it up itself.
Yeah, we basically call that a selfie, and we see that a lot with our products, and it just proves it's a very good product.
Well, it's a key thing, isn't it? When we talk about foam, you quite often hear people saying, "Put it out, keep it out."
Absolutely.
So, John, what are the appropriate standards and approvals that are required for the Enviro by FOMTEC foams for these industrial and high-risk industries?
Well, I think our Enviro products can certainly pass most tests out there, but we decided very early on to focus on the UL and FM test methods, basically because they have the same philosophy as us, that you gather the expansion and drainage data from the large-scale equipment, and then you mimic that with a test nozzle, and you actually perform the fire testing with the same type of quality that you will have with your large-scale equipment. That is a philosophy that we embrace, and we also encourage our customers to take very seriously, because it is necessary with these products.
Okay. Now, we've talked about the Enviro by FOMTEC being a range of products. Do all the Enviro products have UL and FM?
No, they don't. We do perform testing to other standards, basically to offer customers a choice. We have done EN testing. We've done testing to other more exotic standards, such as LASFIRE and JESIP for the oil and gas industry. And obviously, the other tests, there might be some local variations as well that we will fill.
But generally, when we're talking about these fixed systems, you're really looking at the products that you've put through the UL and FM process. So what are what products have got the UL and FM?
Today we have the Enviro USP, which is our AFFF alternative, and we have the FM approval for the Enviro ARC as well. So those are the sort of the star products for the industrial applications through fixed systems.
Okay, and obviously, that covers part of the world. If we're here in Europe, we'd be looking at an EN product. And I know, we've talked before about you saying you have a preference for following NFPA 11 and using UL and FM, but do you have EN 1568 approved products that could be deployed in these fixed systems?
Well, we have. I guess the way to say that is that we have EN approval on certain products. Enviro 3x3 Ultra, for instance, is one of those products. We have a Plus series approved to the EN. So we can apply product and use the European approach with the 13565-2. Honestly speaking, I'm not very fond of it because I really do believe in this holistic approach and the correlation of the foam qualities.
So we're back again to just because a product has got an EN 1568 1A doesn't necessarily mean that it's appropriate for use in a fixed system.
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, I wouldn't dispute it might be a very good product, but as we've always said, and I keep on boring people with saying that we depend on test data. We really want test data testing our foams with specific discharge devices. And that is our approach, and it's highly recommended by us to follow that kind of approach. And we can do that even with an EN product. So let's say a customer comes to us, want to transition. We can follow the EN 13565. We would still want to test and check the foam qualities.
Very good. Now, we, a short while ago, looked at a fire test with a non-aspirated sprinkler. Now, I think we're both aware that one of the issues with the EN 13565-2, when it looks at non-aspirating discharge devices, is it says, consult the manufacturer. You're a manufacturer.
Yes.
How do you feel about that, being in charge of making a decision?
Well, I feel quite confident about it, to be honest, but that's because of all our test data. And I agree with you. It's very, very weird for a standard to refer to the manufacturer without, implying what kind of data should be required from the manufacturer. In our case, we would definitely refer then to our testing according to the UL and FM requirements with all the test data that we have gathered. But the customer must require some real data, not just an opinion. Say, well, our product works. How do you prove that?
Yeah, very true. And I know I took a little bit of a diversion away there. I'm sure you'd like me to come back to Enviro USP and Enviro ARC. So fundamentally, what's the difference between the two products and what are their applications?
Well, what we have found, and I think we've seen that throughout our test series. We started the Enviro program more than 10 years ago. We conducted all of these 1,500 fire tests. And what the general idea is, what we've seen is that there's no one product fits all. So the Enviro USP was developed by us to be an alternative to an AFFF. We focused in on sprinklers, non-aspirated sprinkler heads, because they are really a very quite difficult test. We wanted to have an alternative for our system partners to offer. And the USP is the star product when it comes to hydrocarbon fires. There's no question about it. ARC was designed as an alternative for an AR AFFF with all the requirements for the water miscible fuels.
Excellent. Now, I read in your advertisements and I've looked online, and EnviroArc achieved the FM approval with standard sprinklers, non-aspirated sprinklers in May 2021. Do we have, to date, that's over a year ago now.
Mm-hmm.
Any other competitors moving into that space?
I'm sure they're working hard on it because, as far as I know at the moment, we are the only ones with an FM approval on a polar solvent sprinkler foam with a non-aspirated sprinkler. But I have to just let you know a little bit, Andy, that product, the testing we did with ARC in front of FM actually happened in 2019.
Ah, so
yeah, 2019 it was.
2019.
Yeah.
But again, obviously, there's lots of bits of paper
Yeah.
to complete after the fire tests.
Oh yeah, it's a long process.
Yeah. Very interesting. So I suppose I could ask you what the secret is, but I don't think you're going to tell me.
Well, I guess the ARC product carries the DNA from inventions that we've done quite some time ago, and then the product formulation has evolved. It's been fine-tuned, and it is what it is today.
The result of more than 1,500 fire tests.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very good. Let's move on to probably the highest, the most critical risk when we're talking about large volumes of hydrocarbons or polar solvents, particularly our oil, gas, petrochemical. These are probably the most critical areas, and I think it's fair to say these customers are probably the most hesitant about the transition to fluorine-free foam. Do you have a comment on that?
Well, I think you're right. I think it's when you see these big storage tank fires, obviously they are huge and very dangerous. So they are critical. And there are test series out there, all the work done by Neil and the Last Fire group, and also the testing that you can do according to JESIP is focused in on how to tackle these large storage tank fires. And we do have products with approvals according to Last Fire, or testing according to Last Fire, I would say, and even JESIP. So I agree with you on that. It's a critical application, and I think the industry is slowly coming to terms how difficult that is.
Yeah. But at the same time, a lot of that focus is on the catastrophic type fire, when we've got big monitors, big pumps, large water volumes, but still a lot of them, the primary protection is, foam chambers, foam makers, dike protection. Doesn't that fit into the work you're doing on this general industrial and oil and gas?
Yeah, absolutely agreed. A lot of these oil and gas applications have a lot of fixed systems, deluge systems, sprinkler systems, dike protection, storage tank protection with fixed systems that needs to be designed according to a standard. That governing standard is the NFPA 11 for the most part. And so, and that feeds back into the UL and FM approvals that we already have on both ARC and USP.
Right. I think it's fair to say that FOMTEC has a very deserved reputation for R&D, being able to make specific products for the mission.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like USP and ARC and some of the Enviro by FOMTEC range, again, fit into this model. But are we finished?
No, definitely not. I mean, the Enviro program is in full throttle. We're strongly focused on further developments, and we have loads of very interesting stuff happening. I'm excited about the future. There's a lot of new, very, very exciting stuff that is going to come out in the years to come. So we're not finished. We will never finish, Andy.
Well, so watch this space.
Definitely.
Right. Thank you, John.
Thank you.